Once upon a time, in a faraway land. That statement has anticipation in it, does it not? It brings our attention back to, oh, there's something nice coming. There's something fresh. I better pay attention. That's actually because we are, as a species, obsessed with stories. Okay. And stories, because, but very honestly, a very pragmatic reason for that was when our ancestors said, don't go there, there's a tiger there. The people who did not listen, well, they're not our ancestors anymore. The thing is, stories help us learn from experience, from other people's experience. Stories expand our world beyond the physical scape, right? That is why a Doctor Strange can create universes and we're there with them, we're seeing it, we're hearing it, right? That is why we can travel to the wonderland that Alice is in, and we can travel to the desert planet Arrakis. That's the power of storytelling, right? And for honestly, like, as long as humanity has archaeological evidence, we have really tried to make our stories better. We have invented ways, we have added things, we have gone from puppets to shadows to orchestral music to people in full costume and elaborate sets. We've really been on the cutting edge of telling stories well. But the single limitation here is that it was locked in time, right? That it is something that only exists while the person who's telling the story is in front of you. This changed though. There was this dude in France in 1888 called Louis Le Prince. This guy learned how to lock stories in time. He invented film, by the way, right? And he was the first filmmaker. That's an odd connection. I really find that interesting, that the first filmmaker was an inventor. He invented the lens. His first film was 2.11 seconds, actually. Yeah. That's it. 2.11 seconds is 4 dudes walking around. But now, those 4 people and their story of walking around in a circle is caught in time forever. Because film is forever. That is what makes me and a lot more people like me do this obsessively. Because Louis changed humanity to its core, it changed culture. And they are, by the way, right? Cinema and our stories and our culture are intertwined in a very unique way. Have you watched Fast and Furious by any chance? The Vin Diesel thing where he puts like 17 gears on his car? I've never understood that. But the fact is that an American movie about cars has resulted in an increased sale in the Indian super bike / sports bike market. That's a real fact, right? Um, have you seen, for the older ones in the audience, you know that Amir Khan was known for like his hairstyles being copied by everyone, right? Yeah, that's another thing. Another, in more concurrent news, Gully Boy. Gully Boy, the film, propelled a niche music culture to nationwide fame, and it made it an industry juggernaut. That's the effect that cinema has on culture, right? But the beauty is that everyone has a story and everyone wants to tell a story. And if it is this intrinsically linked, there will be an industry and there will be people trying to make their place in it. The problem, though, is that in our country, there is a bottleneck. There is a bottleneck because the industry is situated in a certain few cities, right? It might be Bombay, Mumbai, it might be Kochi, it might be Chennai, but yeah, that's it. These are the cities. And that is where the idea for creating PFM, Pune Film Movement, came from. In one of my visits to Mumbai, while I was trying to sell a script, and once it gets approved, it goes up the rung, right? Like you have to meet a bunch of people who are producers, executives, directors. A lot of them were from Pune, man. Right? A lot of them either studied in Pune or belong to Pune, have lived or spent significant amount of time in Pune. And that kind of filled me with pride that this city has so much talent. The funny part is that it has a very small cine scene. All of this talent migrates out of the city, goes and makes minimum wage, trying to create their place in a city that is not theirs. That's because no one's creating any space for them, right? So, me, along with a couple of my friends, decided, you know what, we're going to make movies for the rest of this year. No matter what, every Sunday, we're going to meet at the cafe that we usually hang out at. We started with 20 people, right? And this is at a time where, like, I would have been really happy if we would have made 3 films in the year, right? Because that's the average amount. People with a solid amount of funding, like even a short film goes to around 4 lakhs, right? So it's 12 lakhs upfront. We started. We said, there is this unique term in Marathi called Shramadan, okay? Which is, I will give my work as my contribution. We started with that, 20 people. One of the more senior directors, who's kind of a mentor figure in the industry to me, told me, "दो कर ले, बहुत हो जाएगा." ठीक है? He said that I'd be lucky to cross 2. It's been 7 months since we've been on. We've made 6 films, right? We started with 20 people. By the 4th week, we had 80. By the 3rd month, we had 200. And today, we are a 700 plus community of filmmakers making films happen every day. We meet every week and we put our name and our lives and our creativity on the line. That is filmmaking. It's not being safe. It's not having budgets. It's not being limited by what you have. It is making do with what you have to make what you want. That's something that we've forgotten. That is something that we're looking at changing, because right now, there are thousands of lives that we've touched in this process of making these films, right? We started with a small team. Now we have so many people that we've had to start another wing. We've started 5-minute films for people who are first-time filmmakers, who are enthusiasts, who just want to make movies happen, to come, and I will put the best, the most experienced people with you so that you can avoid the mistakes that we made, so that you don't have to spend 8 years trying to establish yourself in the industry, right? It's about creating space. If we create space, great things happen. People tell stories, and man, what stories. We have had such brilliant experiences making these films, right? We've made a film about gang culture in Pune, and we shot it in gangland bastis, where these gangs are actively operating, and they helped us. Yes. There are these guys who have opened their doors to us in like no other city, man. Like, that's the kind of love, that's how it is in our DNA to tell stories, right? We have IT firms that have opened their floors on their off days for us to shoot, and I get a report of the liability. So there is a liability report that we create, right? The liability report goes in crores, because that's the amount of equipment that they've just left around. Full trust that no one will break anything or like misuse anything. That's trust to another degree. They did not charge us. They just opened it because they saw the will that we were doing it with, right? There have been art galleries, and like, man, what brilliant art galleries in Pune that have not charged a buck. The cheapest painting in that art gallery was 3 lakhs, the cheapest one, right? And I am sweating through my pores going like, I hope that no one like accidentally bumps a painting, because that's going to be a damage that we cannot recover from. But yeah, when everyone took it seriously, we left the place cleaner than we used it for, right? Like the gallery owner goes like, hey, man, like, I did not know that it could be this clean. They literally wiped out the floors because people took it with responsibility, because we did it with love, because telling stories is the right thing to do. Because I can tell you this story and it will be great and it will be a conversation that we are having, but unless it is for that camera right there that is locking it in time and making it forever, it wouldn't have worked. For us, going forward, we intend to make 12 films, by the way, at the end of this year. And at the end of this year, when 12 cine quality, Netflix grade films are done, we're going to host a festival. A music festival is something that is now fairly common. A cine festival, where we will host 3,000 people from this city to show our films, celebrate cinema culture, right? And put these stories on a 70 screen. Because honestly, I was told that we will be lucky to do two. I'll add a one in front of it and we'll do 12. Because that's the power of people. We came together and we just decided to do it. In this, there have been a lot of people who've helped us. There is always space for new people. We do not charge an entry fee because that shouldn't be a barrier to entry. We do not care if you have a camera because that shouldn't be a barrier to entry. Because a film that used to take a director, a DOP, an editor, a sound recordist, a sound designer, actors, all of this now can be shot on an iPhone. If tools have changed, if the industry is in flux, if people who are in positions of power don't know what they are to do and what will work or what not, like what won't, right? When we're kind of primed for a change, and this is the change that we are going to be. We're a country that is so obsessed with films that we have a Brahmastra that is made on a scale that is like a Marvel movie scale, and we have Malegaon Ka Superman, which is made at 500 rupees ka budget, right? So that's the scale that we're at, and we're trying to find a place. So my point being here is to tell you that there is a place, right? In the words of the greatest man alive, be the change that you want to see in people. If you want to tell your stories, if you want to contribute, all that is required is for you to put in the work, to put in the Shramadan, and we will give you the help. Like I always keep saying this, help will always be given. I kind of ripped it off from a film, but help will always be provided at PFM to a person who wants to capture their story. That's what we do. We capture stories in time because film is forever. Thank you for listening to me.